what's going to happen. And, you know, we may get them 6 months or a year later because they didn't get any training. They're like, oh my gosh, I made the biggest mistake. And, you know, can be corrected in a certain way. But that's, you know, I think that's a part of our lack of supervising broker commitment to it, because it ultimately just, you got your supervising broker, and that was,
yeah, I know at least one situation like that where the supervising broker is not even in the state of Montana for 6 months out of the year.
Okay.
You know, they live out of state house here. And
Yeah.
how do they really supervise in that big broad term
Right.
now of mentoring and training when they're not even here? I mean, you can do a lot of stuff online and long distance these days, but if you're truly not even here, how does that work?
And I think everybody that is in a big office or has been in a big office at this table knows that truly, sadly, no matter how much training you do, no matter how great you are at supervising, there's still stuff.
oh, totally.
There's always stuff. So
Not
those
saying,
people
I'm
that
not
aren't,
saying that
no, I'm
there
just,
couldn't be things rolling through there,
Oh, they're
but I
gonna-
think it's
they're gonna.
gonna happen.
but I'm just saying those.
It's
that's
another
really-
component of the lack of,
Right.
of quality agents that end up making it into that second,
Right.
third, and fourth
Right.
year that just
Before-
truly fall into a, you know, fall into
Right.
a gap of not really getting a supervisor, because they, we're all kidding ourselves.
Yeah.
Once again, you guys are speaking to a lack of accountability in the process.
That's
There's
right.
no accountability in this process.
It's true.
I mean, and that's a problem.
The only accountability is if something really does go bad,
happens,
and it's a BRR violation, ends
Yeah.
up at BRR, but then of course the broker's involved. If somebody actually takes the initiative to file the complaint.
Right.
I mean, which, you know, a lot of us hesitate to do because we want to get along with everybody, and, you know, we work things out on our own 99% of the time, but that's the only accountability I've ever seen is if it gets to that level of a formal complaint.
And that kind of comes down to risk management. Truly, for us, some kind of assistance with risk management situations. So we're not sitting out there on an island trying to figure it out on our own.
Is there any way to, you know, when you go onto the listing page, you know, and there's an error in the listing, right, we click a complaint button or, you know, an error button, and, you know, that kind of activates somebody to look into it. You know, I get buy sells on a regular basis that there's a lot of things that aren't filled out on them. You know, license numbers and email addresses, and so I prepare the counters to go back to that agent. And the counters, you know, are just full of stuff, you know, that should have been in the buy-sell. Is there a way to, without having somebody be extremely offended by it, is there a way to, you know, have a correction button go to the broker and say,
I just asked for that this morning.
He's
I
talking
literally just asked for
He's
it. Oh, you're talking about
Talking
forms.
forms, not MLS.
well, yeah, I'm just saying
Oh, I thought he was talking
on
about
a
MLS.
buy-sell or something like that, because, but then the broker's got to sit back and say, you know, I'm not being tagged, you know, I'm not, you know, it's just to alert me that, you know, that these people are doing the same thing time and time again. Because it's usually the repeat offenders. You know, when you get a sloppy buy-sell, it's a sloppy buy-sell. And then,
So what we can do now, of course, is one broker can pick up the phone and call the other broker and say, hey, I just got a buy-sell from one of your agents that's a total disaster, and be real proactive. But trying to do an automated system through the MLS, of course, works, but when it comes to forms and transactions going between brokerage firms, that's not in some sort of big database.
you know. But it's really not something that should go to the office and have the office do the work on it. It really, you know, just, you know, it's like a showing thing, right? You click on the showing button and say, I'd like to show the property. You know, it just pops back to the, you know, to the manager broker that's saying that there's an incomplete buy-sell or something. I don't know. But it just seems like there's a lot of missing stuff in those buy-sells.
Has anybody else ever wondered why the broker, supervising broker, doesn't have to sign a buy-sell?
I've always wondered, because you have to sign the listings. I still have a requirement in my office that I look at every single under contract transaction or listed, any
Well,
active
and we do the
transaction,
same thing, but a lot of times the buy-sell goes out,
before we see
Before we
it.
see it,
I
right?
agree, I totally agree with you.
which is the real world, and you don't want to overly micromanage everybody, but, you know, the fact that the buy-sell is probably where 90% of your problems come from, right? Is on, in a buy-sell, not a listing.
I think it's more because of the timing issue. If you don't answer your phone and you're in a meeting like this for an hour and a half and somebody
Yeah.
needs to present.
Right,
And you don't have to micromanage your more experienced people.
right.
You do have to micromanage, and it's your obligation to micromanage your rookies,
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
right? For that first 6 months to a year or whatever.
We do the first
that's
10,
your job.
we do the first 10 transactions and then
Yeah.
just evaluate, because maybe somebody nails 10 transactions the first 2 months, great. You know, so that's kind of how we're doing it, but, you know, I was just thinking that if the broker had to sign a buy-sell, then from a big scale, state of Montana scale, at least, you know, BR knows that buy-sells are being reviewed. But, you know, how would the timing work? And
The timing would be awful, and I guess,
awful.
I mean, you know, we all know we never have 100% control over what they do when they leave, but I always look at every single deal, and if it's a terrible buy-sell that comes back with 25 counter offer items, they're gonna be called into my office and we're gonna go over how to write a buy-sell again. So I don't know how you get past that.
Well, I think, again, back to the supervising broker, we're responsible regardless. So from a signing versus this is our office policy and we're reviewing and we're comfortable with these people and not, like you said, you got 10 transactions. I think that's the take on a buy-sell to me, is that if it goes sideways, by definition of a supervising broker, we're already acknowledging that we're allowing this to happen because, you know, we've got that relationship with the sales associate that's either okay to write without my review or not. So to me, another, you know, signature on something like that would be, you know, a monumental task from a supervising broker standpoint. Like, we're already like just,
And that's not
you
where
know,
the problems are coming from, I don't think, because if you're managing them and you have your people that you're comfortable with, that's not where your issues are gonna come from. They're gonna come from either another office, something coming in, or maybe someone that doesn't do very much and isn't following up with coming to office meetings or whatever. So I guess my question might be on following that is, can you tell whether those buy-sells are coming from newer people more than existing agents, or?
no, the case you said, I mean, some of the worst offenders
The
are
worst
the
ones have been.
See, and
The ones that have been in a while.
Okay, and that's exactly what I'm seeing, is the most of the issues I've had in the last, I don't even know, 10
Yeah.
years, have been people 10 years or more in the business.
Yeah.
And so
And a lot of time-
fixing and having the rookie class, I know we need to do that, but we really, once you're in it 2 or 3 or 5 years, it's like, we just ignore them. And there's nothing, as long as you get your credits, no matter how you do it, you can sleep through the thing. And we're really not making sure they have their license. A couple years ago, we had, I don't know how many people that were still practicing, and yet their licenses were not official. And so how do we do that? I mean, you know, are those kinds of things, can we look at some of those things, instead of bringing more regulation in, you know, look at what we already are regulating and actually regulate
What's already in
good
place.
business
Yeah.
with how we have teeth now, and maybe that stops some of our problems already, but.
I think we'd all agree too, a lot of the issues we see out there, if you read the buy-sell, you wouldn't see any issue. It's how someone's handling a transaction. I personally can think of 2 or 3 really nasty situations where it's been agents verbally negotiating things out with their clients. And then everything goes upside down and it all comes back, well, what, you know, mad clients basically. Well, verbally they've been told this, the agents have verbally done this. And so, you know, you're not gonna read that as on a buy-sell.
Right.
So there's a lot more to it than just the paperwork.
right.
You know, with someone ethically doing a poor job in the transaction, that's not gonna actually show on paper. So there's that whole realm of it to try to wrap our minds around.
And the probability of reporting someone is slim?
Very slim.
Okay. Okay.
And that's supervision,
Right.
so what are
Because
the
you have to work
expectations
together.
surrounding supervision?
Yeah, one of the biggest items I'd love to see that was in writing that would give the supervising brokers the ability to take to their sales associates and say that there has to be some level of face time commitment in a month, or there has to be some level of, you were at office meetings, you attended X, Y, and Z in a month. I mean, because that would shore up so many issues of people you know, just saying, yeah, hang my license at my office, or in big offices where people feel like they don't need to join a sales meeting. I mean, and if you're talking about the things that we talk about on any day, on any weekly basis, it's extremely important stuff that's helping us, you know, have a better profession in town and do better business. So those are the type of things that I think just get lost. And if we had more of a weight behind the supervising broker endorsement, as opposed to just I feel like we just have all the liability and no real
Substance
and support from the state saying, I mean, I get a sales associate in an issue, I'm getting smacked with it, just like they are. But I have nothing from the state that says, look, we're behind you, we want to make sure that you're getting, you know, you're getting that backup from us as well. I mean, I somewhat feel like there's a little disconnect there where we're just.
Would you want that as a BRR mandate, or would that be an office policy recommendation?
I think it would have to be a BRR mandate, because there's no way of having it be a office, because that one-off office, that two-op office, there's no way to have that accountability for it, right? If they're not providing some level of, and it's not like we have to be audited and we have to write in and say we're with these people every day, but for us to be able to go to those sales associates and say, look, per my supervising broker guidelines, endorsement, I have to have you butts in these seats X amount of time in a month. So then we can take it to that next level, and you know, I know we all have our office policies, we all have our things, but shit.
Is that a
That
level?
would sure help. That would sure help.
Yeah.
So that's documentation on your part. I mean, so is that more work because you have to document how many hours I've seen this person? That would be okay though.
I think
Well,
it just goes in your policy.
Yeah, I mean, it's in your policy and procedures, but I mean, if you're taking meeting minutes and you have a, you know, like at the last supervising broker, I think that was the
Who
one
was in
thing that Zane
attendance?
said, take an attendance.
Yeah.
You got a meeting in minutes, and
Yeah.
but I can say that I have to have you in here.
Sure.
It's not about,
Board of
we're
Realty
just
regs
doing,
says.
Board of
Yep.
Realty regs say that
Yep.
this is something that we have to have, and, you know, not that we have to supply that to you on a monthly basis or a yearly basis, but we do have to.
It's an
we have
expectation.
An expectation of our profession, because I think that's one of the things is you get it, and
Sure.
the expectation is so low.
Yeah.
in-
Yeah. Well, if they never
of
see you,
training,
they don't
of
really know.
follow-up, of anything, I mean, right,
think
buy,
it's-
sell, and get a commission check.
I think if
That's-
it was coming from BRR, it would definitely hold more merit than,
Right, that's why I say
Yeah.
that's the one thing that has been a challenge, I guess, is what, more than anything, and I jump up and down.
I do
that
too.
That same concept of, I already say it is, but if I had this, something that.
Sure. Yeah.
Anyway. it's
So
just
from
a
the
food for
survey
thought.
results, and these were the people who responded, indicated that the bulk of their communication from supervising broker side and from the agent side was through email or text. Like that was, so both reported on their side that was the majority of their communication was through those two forms. They did face-to-face, but that was a smaller percentage. So whether you're living further away or, you know, during a day, you know, we don't really know exactly what that means, but so there could be a lot of miscommunication or just, you know, sending in, you know, whatever they need from you. We had the same conversation about the signatures on the buy-sell, and it sounds like a great idea, but then it does make more work, and the thought was you could even, you know, get somebody else to, you know, check off the automatic signature, you know, for you, and you really don't.
I'm not saying I want to do that, I just thought it before.
I know.
Odd, yeah.
I was like, this is way more complex than
Yeah.
a listing.
Yeah.
And it's being sent off to another agent, getting signed by a client,
Right.
creating a binding contract before the
Yeah.
supervising broker sees it. It's almost mind blowing to think that's how the industry is. I'm not saying I want to change that.
So, oh, go ahead.
Could you sign it prior to it going under contract or under contract pending or?
Yeah, it'd almost be like you would sign it, I mean, even the sales licensee doesn't sign the offer unless they've collected the earnest money, right?
Right.
So even the licensee's not signing it, so.
And they're only signing that they have money, not the
Right,
contract.
so 90% of your advisors aren't signing the real estate licensee at all, ever.
Okay, so I know this is an important question for several of the committees. If you were to beef up the supervising broker course or courses, what additional topics would you like to see discussed? So,
I guess, how do you guys feel about, y'all have brokers in your offices, right? I feel like, we're only talking, and we can only talk about sales associates when it comes to supervising brokers. But the brokers need the same level of supervision and same level of training and same level of all this. But they can just walk out and say, yeah, I'm not supervised by you. It's your office policy.
Right.
It's what you fall back onto, but there's nothing that says, if you're a broker, you can just kind of do what you want to do. It's just, again, it's back to that supervising broker. You're in an office with brokers. I'm just throwing it out there, like what's your relationship with your brokers and their level of understanding that they need to be communicating with the managing or supervising broker at the office
Trust me, I've thought about that a lot in the last 6 months. I would like to hear how other people
Yeah,
handle that, even though that might not be our topic, so
No,
maybe another day, but.
we
Well,
talked about it. I think we indicated that we're heavily weighted in the state toward more brokers than most other states. I think that's what that it's almost like an expectation that you'll get your broker as opposed to just maintaining your agents.
I too am very sensitive to that situation, just recently, with a broker that
Yeah.
screwed up big time, and of course I don't manage
Yeah.
him like I manage others, and now I'm involved, and it's not
Well,
fun.
see, I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to be the ones
We're
that
going to be the ones
and so
anyway, even
it's
if they're
kind of like
broker.
this disconnect of,
Yeah.
you're good to go until you screw up, and then we're
responsible.
We're in the mix of it.
I agree.
Again, we have office policies, we have all that stuff in place, but it just doesn't seem like it has any, again, back to the teeth or the merit of really truly.
Well, when it comes right down to it, if it's, whether it's an ethics complaint, an MLS complaint, or a VR complaint, VR doesn't care what our policy says.
Right.
So-and-so's in trouble, and because you're the designated broker, you're coming too.
I treat them no differently than I do a salesperson.
Right.
And I'm leaning more toward that way all
Absolutely
the
no
time.
different in any way, shape, or form.
And but they think the mentality is that.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying,
The
too.
mentality is much different than what what you get. I mean, if you look at even our new flex system of what constitute a signature turned in within a time period, that broker that signed it, that's their timestamp. That's when the time starts.
Yep.
Everyone else, I mean, it's all these different, like, works for this, doesn't work for that, works for this, doesn't work for that.
Yep.
And it comes back to, if we're tagged with a supervising broker endorsement, there should have a higher level of across the board, like where the buck stops with us liability wise, why doesn't it stop with us from a regulatory?
So would that be a policy change or?
It'd be licensing again.
I mean,
Wouldn't it?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I threw it out there because it's just one of those things that comes up more often than you want it to, and
Yeah, well, and it was discussed at length when, we eliminated broker associate.
Right.
Right.
I mean, we've been through this.
Yeah. Right.
But, and I think it is a matter of policy, personally. And I've kind of told you what ours is. They're no different than a salesperson in our network. I mean, I guess they are.
Do you?
Yeah, they are different, but they're no different in the way you.
In the way
You take their documents and flow and everything.
Do you require supervising broker signature on their listings?
Yes,
I do too.
absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Do you still call supervising broker, or do you kind of change the term to a managing broker, or is it just not even matter?
Does,
It's
Just
just,
another
Either way.
signature that is.
Yeah.
you designate whose signature has to be on it.
correct.
Yeah,
Which is what
so
we
it
do
doesn't